Boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Island. I'm going to turn on Tiki-Taki right here. Adjust the filter. There we go. TikTok. I think TikTok is going to work. Yes. Ella. So that was Greek. I don't know why I was saying Ella. Ella. Only 1% of you knew what I was saying. Anyway, welcome, everybody. TikTokers, Phil Simpson, you're the first one to join us. Thank you. Everybody on YouTube, a couple Facebookers and Twitterers perhaps hiding in the background. Hey guys, we like to sort of just have folks introduce themselves at the beginning. So we'll start with that. Just say where you're from if you feel like it. Hey guys, I always feel like it's kind of Yasu. I was just saying, I started by saying Ella, and then I realized, what am I doing? I did not call mom before. No, there is the risk of a mom outbreak today. I do admit, since I haven't talked to her like in a day or two. It's a possibility. Not right now, because right now is getting towards dinner time for mom. The risk is in an hour. That is going to be peak mom danger zone. When mom calls and then TikTok freezes. Oh, where are you guys? Where are you guys at? Alabama? Hi, John from the UK. Sometimes the flags are hard to see, actually. I was like, okay, I recognize that. What else we got? Arizona. My day was good. It's actually a beautiful day here today, like 76 degrees, which, if that means anything to you. In Celsius, it's, I don't know, 22 maybe, 23 maybe? I always get that a little confused, but it's gorgeous in Celsius. Sasha got a little warm, but, she handled it well. Hello, Germany, Puerto Rico. New Zealand, lots of roses flying in. Cindy and Pure Cod, thank you. Just so folks know, we usually like to wait a minute to let folks kind of have time to get here. It takes the TikTokers a little bit and even the YouTubers a little bit, but TikTok, usually we get about 3,000 if we wait a couple minutes. So I'd like to just wait a couple minutes and have folks continue to say hello. And then we will get to the news. My microphone's not on me. Duh. That might help. My microphone. We run a very high-class operation here, folks, just so you know. God. Yes, my mic is plugged in and sitting behind me. Not for the YouTubers. For the YouTubers, I've got the big honking mic. Boom. Which I've got to put about a foot away from me because it's very strong. But for the TikTokers, hey, Kate, all is well. Yeah. No, today was a nice day. Like I said, it was pretty out. Got to walk the dog. Hey, guys, just keep introducing yourselves if you would. Thank you, Ginger. If you would, we're just saying a quick hello. We're about 2,000 TikTokers. That's more like it. Usually we get to 3 before I start, but let's see. If it doesn't keep going up, we'll just start. Thanks for the origami already, guys. But yeah, no, today was a gorgeous day. So I took a nice walk with the dog, had a friend over. We got sushi from across the street and la. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm from Chicago, though, but I'm in Washington, D.C., where I've lived for a very long time. All right. There we go. I'll start. Looks like TikTok might be we might be a smaller crowd tonight, 2,500. That's still okay. You are small but mighty, you TikTokers. And the YouTubers, actually, everybody's a bit low tonight. I almost feel like the weather affects this to some degree. We get nicer weather, and all of a sudden, fewer people show up. Uh-oh, the dog's moving around. Look out. Actually, before we start, I'm going to put water in the dog's bowl because then we're not going to get interrupted by that. But yeah, it's a beautiful day today. I'm loving the weather like this. But I do think sometimes when the weather is this nice that people just aren't hanging out at home checking into TikTok and YouTube is my guess. I probably would have done better starting my lives in the middle of winter. I would have had 10,000 of you in January. Anyway, all right, let's get rolling. So I've got a new fundraiser we're going to be doing. I'm going to do a video on it tomorrow on TikTok, so much more detailed pictures, etc. But bottom line is I've already put up the link in my profile. And actually for the moderators, you'll have to get a new link because I've changed. Don't use the old link for the fundraiser because I had to set up a whole new thing. But basically, okay, but TikTok's update. Yeah, TikTok's live. People are saying it. Hey, guys. So basically, we're going to be raising money to get 2 used cars to deliver 1,500 pounds of groceries to Kharkiv, which is the second largest city in Ukraine. It's the city that's getting bombed the most after Mariupol. Mariupol is that just disaster in the south that we keep hearing all the horror stories about. While Kharkiv getting bombed second most, second largest city, 1.5 million people. And this is the city where people are starting to get very worried, because the thought is, as Putin moves for the big offensive, which could be in a couple of weeks, it could be in a couple of days, that this offensive starts, there's real fear that he's going to try to take Kharkiv, or he's going to try to level it, right? Because this is what they do. So anyway, we're going to raise money to get 2 used cars that are at least in good enough condition to survive the war. Thank you for that on TikTok. And we are going to be delivering food to Kharkiv with the cars from Lviv. And then finally, the cars will then be used in Kharkiv throughout the war to do food deliveries for the Meals on Wheels program there. So we're getting food for the Meals on Wheels people, and then we're going to be getting it there with these cars, and then they're going to use the cars to actually deliver meals for the next few months at least. So that's the new fundraiser. You can find the link in my profile, the Beacons link in my profile on TikTok. Go there, and the very first entry you'll now see is that. I explain what it is. And even though it's a PayPal link, don't worry, because you can use your credit cards. You don't have to use PayPal. And yeah, like I said, the mods, if you can go over there and get that new link, well, you can use the Beacons link anyway. I'll put up my Beacons link here on Dog Wants to Play. Where's my Beacons link? Here we go. A new fundraiser for Ukraine. Editing live as we speak. All right, that's the link that I'm putting up on YouTube, except that I can't, it's not clickable. You go there, very top issue. Okay, let's just dive right in. So, genocide, lovely word to start the broadcast with. Biden today, President Biden of the United States, came out and more or less declared what's going on in Ukraine a genocide, which is a good thing. I say more or less because basically he was talking to people and saying, like, do you really want to pay higher gas prices for some dictator to commit genocide? So he was also calling Putin a dictator, which was interesting, and accusing the dog wants like a treat or playing in the corner here, and calling it genocide, which was great. What I don't like, or I've got concerns about, and I did a video on TikTok about this recently, the White House has been vacillating on this point, just as they did on the war crimes thing. Remember with the war crime thing, how originally White House didn't want to call it war crime. They got upset with the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine that actually put out a tweet calling Putin's actions a war crime. They got chastised. All the other embassies were told, do not retweet that tweet, right? Very upset. Then a couple days later, Biden said he personally thinks it's a war crime, but it's not the U.S. government position. Thank you for that, Candy. Or I keep telling you Candy. It says can for you. It looks like candy with my eyes. Then they turn it from his personal position to the U.S.'s official position, right? Then we get to this man should not remain in power, but oh my God, I didn't mean to remove him from power. Then we get to war crimes, or genocide. A number of leaders, Duda might have even been the first in Poland a good week ago, easily week and a half ago, came out and said, yes, these are war crimes. A number of other big leaders did. Obviously, Zelensky did, but I mean, other leaders around the world. And the White House gets asked about it, and last week says, this is not a war crime. No, these are not war crimes. And I'm kind of going, shut up. Just call it a war crime. What's it going to kill you? Getting very legalistic. Like, well, legally, is it a war crime? Well, then 2 days ago, Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, who's like the kind of the top foreign policy guy in the White House for the president, and he gets asked about it and says, I don't want to get into words. I think words aren't helpful. And you're going again like, oh my God, just call it a freaking war crime. Well, today, 2 days later, Biden called it a war crime. And that's great. What I don't like is this once again is feeding this sense that we're U.S. policy is sort of inching along in a fearful way, and that it may not even be serious. Like, are they caving and calling it war crimes? I mean, is that what they do? Or do they really think it's war crimes? Or are they just trying to keep up with the Joneses now? And I don't think it sends, thank you for the origami, Kinausi. I don't think it sends a good message to Putin, because I think it makes us look like we're weak and we're vacillating and we're not sure. And, we're just not sure of ourselves. Anyway, it's wishy-washy. Yeah. Kate G just used the word. It's wishy-washy. That's what bothers me. It's wishy-washy. Again, I like Biden. I really do. I mean, and again, I try not to. I really don't get partisan in this. And I don't want us to be partisan because it's incredibly important. And be kind, as long as you're sure that's the new link, that when you land on it, it says, oh my God, the crazy drug lunatic people are back. That's nice. But in any case, no, but as I say in the video I did on TikTok, and you can go watch it, I think it is important to speak out when our leaders are doing things incorrectly that are going to harm issues we care about. And in this case, this is a very important issue, what's going on in Ukraine. We've got to defend these people. Thank you for the little galaxy there. And I think it is hurting Biden the way he's doing this, whether it's his fault or his staff's fault, I don't know. But it's showing incertitude, and it's coming across wishy-washy. And not only does that hurt him as president, but it hurts the country internationally, and particularly with Putin. I will stop. That will be my Fareed Zakaria moment where I give my little intro. Mariupol, no update on the possible use of chemical weapons. Remember, that story came out yesterday, probably right before I came on. It is not easy, especially because Mariupol, that's the town that's quasi surrounded by the Russians. Nobody can get in and out. Or not nobody. I mean, some of the troops are getting in and out, but it's very difficult. There's no way inspectors can get in and actually take soil samples and all the stuff they need to do, right? So thank you for that, Flower Lady. So there's just no news on that front. There is a video out of one of the soldiers who it looked like he had something in his eyes because he was laying back in bed, eyes were closed. I put it on TikTok, and he was saying just that it affected their breathing. It affected their skin, but it looks like they'll be okay. One interesting side note on that is our Secretary of State Blinken said today that the U.S. had credible information that Russian forces may use a variety of riot control agents mixed with chemicals. And what he meant was whether they would use some kind of riot control spray mixed with chemical agents, quote unquote. And whether that, and so interesting though, what they're saying is the U.S. did have intelligence the Russians might try something. So it's always possible. And thank you again for that. Washington Post. This is good news. I got actually a couple good news stories. Several good. Actually, do I have any bad news? You know what? I'm going to give you the last bad news story because all the rest of it's good news. So this is good. The last bad news story is the governor of the area around Mariupol, the town in the south that's getting just beaten by the Russians, says up to 22,000 civilians might be dead there at this point, which is really scary. It was maybe 400,000 people. I think we said 450,000. Now there's probably over 100,000 still left. But anyway, let's go to the better news. So Biden administration is looking, thank you for that, is basically looking to dramatically expand the number and kind of weapons they're giving to Ukraine, which is fabulous. Tyson, I'll tell you right now. Sorry, Tyson jumped in with a question. Tyson N. Any updates on the peace talks? Dead for now. Putin himself even pretty much said they were dead today. They're not going anywhere. And Putin has no reason to negotiate now. He wants to see if he can get the East and maybe even Kyiv. There's no reason for him to negotiate. They're dead. They're just dead at this point. Yeah. That was the update. I even looked into it today. So let me just read this from the Washington Post. I'll give you the paragraph. The Biden administration is poised to dramatically expand the scope of its weapons it's providing Ukraine, U.S. officials said Tuesday, with the Pentagon looking to send Mi-17 helicopters that can be equipped to attack Russian vehicles, armored Humvees, and a range of that can be attacked vehicles, also provide armored Humvees and a range of other arms. This is the Washington Post editor not editing this story very well. So it's not clear if they're sending armored Humvees and a range of arms or whether the helicopters can attack armored Humvees. Either way, these helicopters are a big deal. It is being looked at as a dramatic escalation from the U.S. That may mean that this whole issue of, yes, it's genocide. Yes, it looks like chemical agents might have been used. After Bucha, for example, that horrible news 2 weeks ago, it looks like maybe we're seeing now a change. Thank you for that. A change in the administration, which would be great. In other words, firming up with actual actions rather than just words. So that's good news. An interesting story from Ukraine. Zelensky today posts a photo. I got to see if I've got it here, just because the photo itself is begging to be a meme. So Zelensky the president of Ukraine, posts a photo of a guy who's an oligarch, which means one of the sort of the rich SOBs who kind of absconded with all the country's money. Pro-Putin, the guy's super pro-Putin, And I'll leave this open for a second. We'll see if it updates and I can find the guy. The guy's super pro-Putin. He runs a pro-Putin party. He was arrested for treason. Thank you for that, Cam. Arrested for treason under house arrest because it's thought that he, was helping the invasion, this kind of thing. The thing that's really important about him is Putin is his daughter's godfather. So he's one of Putin's best friends. So Zelensky, first of all, it's thought that he arrested the guy at the beginning of the war for house arrest because the guy deserved it, but also to tick off Putin. Well, thank you for that. Was it Knaus? I'm not sure, but thank you for that. And Canadians, or Canadazen. These names on TikTok are tough. But no, it's not coming up. Shoot. All right, I'll let this sit here. Maybe it'll come up again. In any case, Putin, he's super close to Putin, so it was thought that part of the arrest was to piss off Putin, but also that the guy deserved it. The guy got away from house arrest. They didn't know where he was. They rearrested him today, put the mugshot out there and everything. Not going to pull it up. That's okay. It's okay. But good news. I mean, great news. This guy's under, and it's going to, he's a big Russian sympathizer and it's going to tick off Putin. So that's always kind of fun. The Slovakia, this lot of good news today on supplying weapons. Slovakia, which is one of the countries bordering Ukraine. Okay. I kept saying Slovenia before, Slovakia, and wants to provide its entire sort of coterie of MiG fighter jets to Ukraine. That basically they're getting outdated. Slovakia said it's getting really difficult to even keep them up to date because you've got to be in league with the Russians, or the Russians don't give you parts. So they want to give their entire fleet, however many that is, I don't know. The dog's lying back, whining on the floor. They want to give them the entire fleet. The U.S. said yesterday or earlier today that we have no problem with it, which I thought was very interesting. But what I worry about is this could be Poland all over again. Remember, Poland wanted to do it, and the U.S. said, we don't mind if Poland gives them the fighter jets, but we don't want to give them the fighter jets. And Poland said the U.S. has to do it, and the whole deal fell through. So I'm hoping this isn't like part 2 of that. Otherwise, it's very good news, but, I got my fingers crossed, or you got to be a little careful on this one, but very interesting. The other weapons we had provided, or we had promised 100 Switchblade drones, which are, I'll get you next, caddy. We provided 100 Switchblade drones. These are the kamikaze drones, the drones that have a munition in the front. So when it hits, it goes boom. Whatever you hit, you can, and you can get a good enough munition that actually can be a tank killer. These were, we sent 100, which is great. And some of them have already arrived, and the Ukrainians already have them. 100 isn't, an earth-shattering number because they're one-time use because they're kamikaze, but still, it's something. And they're arriving, so they'll be able to use them. That's great. The other issue, very interesting, is Poland. Sasha, enough. No. She's going to be begging me for the next hour and a half to play or get a snack or something. Poland may have sent 100 T-72 tanks to Ukraine, but nobody knows. Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows publicly. There was a rumor. Thank you for that, by the way. There was a rumor that 100 of these tanks disappeared from Poland, and one of the top defense voices in Poland apparently confirmed today that, in fact, the tanks have disappeared. So everyone is assuming they made their way to Ukraine. Some folks got worried when I reported on this, but this Polish military expert he didn't talk to me. He already broadcast it publicly. The Russians know. The Russians knew before you knew. So I am not spilling any military secrets, but that is great news. Again, on the military front, there's a lot of small but good military stories. The Ukrainians hit a railroad overpass to stop the Russians from being able to bring in supplies for their troops for this big offensive. And the interesting thing is the railroad overpass, get this, it's just outside of Belgorod, Russia, heading towards Kharkiv. Belgorod, Russia would be the same town where we believe it was the Ukrainians blew up a Russian oil depot, blew up I'm spacing out already. I've got it in my notes. What was it? The oil storage and the ammunition. One night they did the ammunitions depot and blew it up. The next night, like 36 hours later, morning, they blew up the oil refinery or the oil storage. And now it looks like they blew up a key railroad coming in. What is interesting, though, is this is the third time or more that the Ukrainians appear to have sent special forces into Russia near this time, which is really interesting. So that fascinates me as far as their ability to do this kind of stuff. It's really interesting. In any case, so that's good news. Putin. So whoever, maybe Harvey brought this. Probably Harvey. Thank you for that on TikTok. Somebody brought up yesterday. It was Harvey actually, because Harvey was out partying for his birthday and on his way back home, and said that Putin had fired over 100 of the FSB spies. And he's right. I looked into it some more. So basically what happened was Putin fired. Actually, you know what? Let me stop a second. I forgot. Catty cat. Is Russia moving troops to the border of Finland? I did not hear that. I heard there was something. I think, did they move like an SA-300 anti-aircraft battery or something to the border with Finland? If they did, they're not moving anything significant because they don't have anything significant. Any men that they've got under arms that actually are any good, they've moved to Ukraine. They can't afford to put them on. I mean, here's the thing. I hope they've moved troops to the Finnish border because they're troops that they should be using in Ukraine. But there is no way in hell that they want to start a war with Finland right now, because the Finns also have really good military and really good weapons. They don't need yet another war with somebody else right now. They don't need it. So yeah, I didn't see that, but I hope it's true. So the spies. So it was in fact the FSB. The FSB is one of the follow-on agencies to the KGB, which is like the Russian CIA, right? And what? Oops, make sure I don't lose you there, Jared Boldman. I got you. The FSB is mostly in charge of internal security because it's a dictatorship, but it also is in charge of Ukraine, like the former Soviet territories. So my thinking on this is they fired 100 or maybe even 130. It said staffers of these agents, whether they were analysts or agents for the spy agency who were dealing with Ukraine. And they took the guy heading the entire division and threw him in jail. He's the guy that was like under house arrest. Well, now they actually arrested him for real. Like he's in trouble, this guy now. And I'm thinking rather than it being a coup and a coup attempt, I'm thinking literally he's trying to, я говорю немного по-русски. That's it. But I'm thinking that Putin's looking for a scapegoat, that he's trying to like not get himself blamed. At some point, his people are going to find out that the news is fake, that in fact they're not doing well. They lost a lot of their men, and he needs somebody to scapegoat. And he's going to scapegoat this department. That's my thought. That's all I got for the news today. Like I said, today was we got Finland, and then there's one more. Hold on, there is Jared Boldman. Should Ukraine send humanitarian aid of trucks full of vodka to Russia front lines to keep them occupied while Ukraine troops overrun them? That's a funny idea. Or send them something else that makes you melancholy. I don't want to use these words because it can get us into trouble. But that's funny. That is funny because they would get drunk off their whatevers. That's funny. I don't know. That's funny. I mean, I'm sure you're not the first one to come up with that. The question is whether in the history of warfare anybody's ever done it. Like just leaving cases of liquor out, hoping they'll find it. Who knows? Also, you don't want to give them something that lets them let off steam. That would be my only concern, like seriously thinking about it. If it actually gives them sport and makes them enjoy their evening, we don't want that to happen. Let me look here. Yeah, exactly. Russia cannot fight on multiple fronts right now. There's no way. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I did see the maneuver thing, I think. Yeah. Yesterday it was reported the U.S. moved a large military ship to the Baltics, which is Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, that area, to do maneuvers with Finland and other countries in that area. Yeah. Actually, I think we even talked about it because somebody brought it up yesterday, and I was saying that's not a bad idea. That's a good idea, actually. All right, very interesting. Let me jump right into the questions on TikTok. I forgot to say, but maybe the moderators already told you guys, use whatever that Q&A function is or whatever it is where you can pose the question, and that allows me to actually jump in and pull your questions up and pick one. Not same thing, but you guys on YouTube, you pretty much know the ropes. Enter your questions there. I just go back and forth, and if anybody buys a super chat question, I will jump to that question first, because in the end, I can't do, thank you for that, TikTok. I can't do every question anyway because we don't have enough time. So I always promise I will drop everything and get to super chat first. Otherwise, we'll just go back and forth. So let me jump into TikTok. Thank you, Chuck, for the roses. Shout out to the moderators. All right, fair enough. Okay, I'm going to put that up anyway. Reality Check, please, says, let's thank the moderators. Very true. Not an easy job. And the moderators always get the bum rap anyway. Not only is it not fun, but they're the ones that always have to be the bad guys and gals. So I feel your pain. Thank you, moderators. That's a tough one. Grimm's wife asks about what can the world do about the 120,000 children? These are the reports that the Russian basically may have, I would say, kidnapped, taken 120,000 Ukrainian children into Russia. Whether it's because they were stolen, whether it's because the Russians killed their parents, who knows? But the Russians themselves had made a comment. I did a video a while back on this, where the Russians had said they saved 350,000 Ukrainian adults and something like 150,000 children. And I read it and I was like, what does that mean? It was actually, I think it was the UN ambassador. Maybe I tweeted it. I thought I read it. I thought I did it for you guys too on TikTok. But I tweeted it. I said, does this not sound like a confession that they're basically admitting they kidnapped these people? Because how do you save them, right? Not invade their town? That's not what he meant. He meant we came into town. He means save them from the Nazis, which is what they call the Ukrainians. He means they moved them out east too, which is really bad. So no, I don't know. To some degree, first, it's got to be proven. I mean, one hopes they're not all orphans, because then it's even harder to prove, because if they're orphans, their parents are gone, so the parents aren't looking for them. And get this too, if you don't know who they are, how do you know they're not dead, right? So even like extended family looking for them could think, well, the parents are gone, maybe the kids are gone too. It's a mess. It is a mess. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is this is where you get to the point of we've got to beef up everything we're doing so we can help this war just stop. You know, it's really it's just awful. What else? Let me look on YouTube. And just, I always forget to remind folks. So I'm John Aravosis here in Washington, D.C. We've already done the first part of the show where I update you all on the latest news. Now for the next 45 minutes, we're going to do questions and answers. Feel free to enter them in TikTok in the Q&A section, in YouTube in the comments, or via Super Chat. And I'm going to look for YouTube question. Yeah, I think that's part of it. Dark Angel asks, do you think the U.S. knows something that we don't know, and that's why they've been so careful with their words? I think so. I think that's part of it. I think my suspicion, I've said from the beginning that I think, for starters, Biden is so worried about pissing off Putin, that Putin could use his nukes and Putin could blah, 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 that it makes me think like Biden got some intelligence privately, meaning information from our intelligence agencies, from the CIA or the National Security Agency, which is the agency that eavesdrops on phone calls and things, that he got information telling him that they are very concerned that Putin is going to do something crazy. And that, whatever it is, but that if we back him into a corner too much and he feels like we're entering the war, he could do something crazy, like use his nukes, use chemical weapons, whatever. I am hoping that's why Biden's doing what he's doing. I still think it doesn't even matter because it's coming across weak. It's coming across wishy-washy, the word one of you used. And that's not good and that's not helpful, because if anything, Putin is somebody who respects strength. He doesn't respect weakness. So Putin sees you being wishy-washy and he goes, let's ramp it up 10 times harder, right? So it's not safe, but I also think, for example, the whole issue with the Polish MiGs. Remember the fighter jets that Poland wanted to give a month ago? We talked about this. And Poland said, why don't we give them to the U.S. and Germany? And then the U.S. can give the MiGs to Russia. And the U.S. was like, oh, we don't want to do that. I think that because we were being so weird about it, because Biden was just being, it's going to be an escalation, right? I think the Russians warned him and said, you send those fighter jets and we're bombing Poland. And we're going to bomb them where they are in Poland, and we don't care what you say. And Biden blinked and said, rather than saying, you bomb Poland and you've got war with all of NATO, that's 30 countries. You can't defeat one country. And now you want to take on 30 countries, and not just 30 countries, but 30 countries that don't use your crappy weapons. Sorry, TikTok censors, don't use your lousy weapons, but countries that use the space age weapons that the US and France and Britain and everybody else has got. I mean, we use some of your lousy weapons, but not too many of them. And there's no way Putin could have afforded to direct. And I don't care if Putin wanted us in the war, because there's this talk, and he's probably right, that there's a side of Putin that wanted it to be a war with America and NATO because we're the boogeyman. We're the, thank you, Pamela, for that. We're like the bad guys, to the Russians. In the end, he doesn't want us in the war because he so far can't even defeat Ukraine. This war is supposed to be 3 days. It's now been 46 days, right? He can't defeat Ukraine so far. He doesn't want NATO and the US and the UK and everybody else involved. It's crazy. but we didn't turn around and say just that to him, and we should have. But I think, yes, he got some intelligence telling him, you better be careful, Mr. President. We think Putin could go crazy. And unfortunately, he listened to it. And I think he should have said, you know what? Let Putin deal with his own people, because his own generals are going to tell him, you're nuts if you get America involved. Thank you for the heart again. Kate G, is there any mechanism in place to get back the children and refugees who've been taken to Russia when this is over? I mean, thank you for that on TikTok. The problem is there's no mechanism. It's all a matter of, A, does Russia want to give them up? And because, right, what do? Put on sanctions or declare war? It's like the stuff right now. There's no, thank you for that on TikTok, Brenda. It's kind of the same thing. Like, is there a mechanism not to, it kind of reminds me of any crime in essence. You can put laws in place, but if a criminal is going to do a crime, then you got to go after the criminal. In this case, there's probably something that says you shouldn't kidnap. Well, first of all, it's a war crime to kidnap children. I'm sure that's involved, clearly, right? And the transportation of minors and all that kind of crazy stuff. So clearly it's a crime. He doesn't care. So what do? You either go to war or you put sanctions on him. And maybe this is the kind of thing where we try to keep some of the sanctions on, but we have to find out who's even there. And I fear, Kat, that we don't even know if he's got the kids or how many he's got and who the kids even are. So what do you do about it? We can't like demand the release of kids when we don't even know their names. Thank you, Pamela, for that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I'm very worried that whether we can actually do anything to help out, Putin is a Klingon and strength is only met with strength. Yeah, to use a Star Trek, but I think he is. He sees weakness and doesn't respond well to weakness. Or he's of that culture that Wesley Crusher got into trouble with when he was doing his Starfleet Academy exam, the ones you're supposed to yell at. And if you don't yell, if you say, I'm sorry, they go crazy. Huh? How's that for a geeky Star Trek reference? Yes, Ashley, I mentioned that at the top of the show. Ukraine arrested Putin's best friend in Ukraine, whose daughter Putin is the godfather of. And yeah, thank you, Denio. Whose daughter Putin is the godfather of, and who runs the party, heads the party in Ukraine that's like the pro-Russia, the pro-Russia, but like literally let's become part of Russia party. Yep, Mariupol still contested and holding. There's even some talk I saw today about Mariupol that some of the troops got out. I don't know whether they got refreshed, but some of our troops, the Ukrainian troops that are there, were able to actually leave, which is crazy. I mean, this is what they've been saying. They've been able to continue to provide supplies to the Ukrainian troops that are in Mariupol. Russia should have surrounded this thing from the beginning and cut off all supplies. I mean, I'm sure they've been trying, but my God, they haven't. And this is one of those signs of that was cute on TikTok. I've never seen that one before. The ugly duckling turning into a swan. Thank you. The experts were saying it's a sign of how badly the Russians have been doing at this and whether they can be any better in the East. Of course, the big issue is will this new general that's taking over, the butcher of Syria, as they call him, will he, as now one unified leader, be able to somehow change things up and do a better job? Maybe. What do we got here? Thank you for the balloons, Brenda. Let me see, Tim. Tim Smerica says, will the war in Ukraine pull enough money away from the other pro-Russia battles going on to make a difference for those pro-West? Depends what battles. I mean, I'm not sure Syria, I guess, is still... Hey, Dublin, welcome. We're doing a Q&A now just about everything Ukraine. I'm not sure what other battles. I mean, I will say this, you've only got so much money, and the more money we make Russia spend, this has been the U.S. strategy with regards to Russia's sovereign debt, literally Ruby slippers, to Russian sovereign debt that we said for some crazy reason, thank you, Shannon, we were letting Russia take dollars out of U.S. banks that were already sanctioned and frozen, but we were letting Russia take the dollars out and pay their debt with it. I don't know why. Well, a week ago, if not 2 weeks ago, we finally put our foot down and said, no more. Russia, you can no longer use, it was the beginning of April. So now maybe it was a week and a half ago. We said, you can no longer take money out of U.S. banks to pay your debt. And if you got a default, you got a default, Or you can go into your reserves, Russia's big piggy bank they've got at home with all the dollars in it they need. They can go into their reserves and pay their debt with the dollars there. And what that does is it takes money away that Russia could be using to fund its war effort. So we are actually trying to do something like that with the latest U.S. moves. But I will say, in general, and this is whether there's battles or whether there's possible battles, when you move so many troops to Ukraine, and it's most of the forces you've got in terms of the forces that are able to fight in your best forces, you do make it much harder to defend the rest of your country or fight any other battles you have out there. So what would be the worst thing for Russia right now is if some other country started a war, grabbed some land, did something, So yeah. Grab another. Thank you, Pamela, for the ice cream. You're making me hungry. Not fair. I know. Well, Christy asked about Russia wanting Alaska back. Russia, when it's playing games with us, likes to do the Alaska thing. As you guys probably know, or maybe, I don't know whether Europeans and others know, but we bought Alaska from Russia way back when. I don't know, was it like $43 million or something like that? And at the time, it was considered a folly because Seward, I think, was the Secretary of the Interior or somebody who was in charge of it. And it was called Seward's Folly because, why buy this frozen crazy stuff in the north? And of course, now it's got oil, so we're very happy. And nice indigenous people and lots of other things. Thank you for the flower. So what the Russians like to do is they like to sort of saber rattle and go, oh my God, we're going to take Alaska back. And it makes all the Russians go, ah! They're not going to take Alaska back. It's just not. That is when we go to war for sure. They touch Alaska, we're at war. There's no question. So, do not fret not worried about that one. Well, there are some sanctions, lottery lettuce. The only obvious Russian vassal state, big one, is Belarus. We already have sanctions. We already had sanctions on them because they're a horrific, Lukashenko's a horrific dictator, the guy running it. So we already had big sanctions on them. I believe some of these sanctions cover Belarus. I know they do because I know there have been some impact on I don't even remember if it was PayPal or somebody cut back. No, Airbnb cut back, actually, sort of its services for Belarus and Russia that caused some problems for people. Thank you for the trains there, Shannon. So, yeah, there is. But there really aren't any other vassal states that are doing a lot. China has been helping spread propaganda for Russia, but you don't have anybody else who's been doing a lot of weapons running or anything else. Otherwise, I think they would be sanctioned, yes. Well, what Zelensky did, Matt Mush says, why did Zelensky refuse to see the German leader? Zelensky refused to see the German president, right? I forget the guy's name. Was it Schimmerman or something like that? Whatever. Thank you. I saw the disco ball. Thank you for that. He supposedly the German embassy or somebody said, mind you, the German president is not the leader of the country. The chancellor is the leader of the country. That's the actual head. The president, I don't even understand the job of the president, but he's not the big guy or gal. So the embassy or somebody says that they told the Ukrainians that this guy wanted to come, and the Ukrainians said, no, thank you. Now, this guy, I'm told, and again, some of you are going to know this better than me, but is really good buddies with Gerhard Schroeder or whatever, who's the former German chancellor, who's just weak as, is again, a Putin BFF, is just somebody way too close to Russia. And I think the Ukrainians looked and said, why do we want to have you, who's best friends with this idiot who keeps saddling up to Putin? No good can come of this. So now there was a request later in the day for the chancellor, whose last name I'm never going to get correct. I keep wanting to say Orlov. It's not Orlov. Someday I'll get the guy's name correct. But the chancellor and the Ukrainians said they would be happy to have him come. So that's a different story. So that's good, at least. Nick Holt, is Biden the next Jimmy Carter, weak versus USSR? I don't want to get too much into the U.S. politics of it because I've been intentionally trying to keep this whole debate over Ukraine to not be about politics, because I didn't want it to become a left versus right debate because it's so important, for what's going on over there. And we've done a pretty good job. Like I said, Tucker Carlson on Fox News is insane. Otherwise, Republicans have generally been very good on this issue. Democrats, other than Glenn Greenwald and some of the lunatics on the left, have been very good on this issue. So I don't want to make it like that. I will say what worries me for Biden is, and forget Carter either way, what worries me for Biden, and mind you, Carter the big problem with Carter at the end was the Iran crisis. I don't even think it was USSR. It was Iran. Because remember, they took our embassy hostage. And that was horrific for Carter. That was, I'm trying to remember now. Was it 400 and some days or something? It was crazy. Thank you for my Harry Potter hat. So, no, but Biden runs the risk of appearing weak because, look, Biden really knows his foreign policy. The guy's getting a little old, and he comes across a little old. He does. Sometimes he speaks very well. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes the way he walks, he just appears old. I mean, admit it, right? I mean, there's no shame in that. But you want to project sort of virility and strength, especially a president during wartime. And this is wartime, even if we're not directly at war. That hurts Biden. I also think the way they keep kind of vacillating on things and saying something and then they've got to correct him. It just makes him look weak. And they need to do better with the marketing. And that's why I keep raising this about their messaging. Their messaging sucks. Their messaging just sucks. And this is a problem with Democrats overall. I've talked about this for years. Thank you for that. Democrats are not good at messaging, period. And this is a case where the messaging matters because it will not only affect his presidency, but by affecting his presidency, it affects our foreign policy posture vis-a-vis somebody like Russia. They do not need to look at us and perceive us as being weak, or perceive us as being indecisive, or even worse, perceive us as being afraid of Putin because Putin scared us that if we go to war with him, it's nuclear war and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. But yes, Biden did state that this is a genocide. Yep. Alexandra, I mentioned that earlier in the show and said just that, what I just said now. My concerns with it are that the White House was basically weak on this for a week, W-E-A-K for a W-E-E-K. And last week they said it's not a genocide. Then Sunday, and I saw him on TV, Jake Sullivan, who's the national security advisor, so basically the top White House foreign policy guy, is on TV, gets asked, is it a genocide? All the other foreign leaders are calling it a genocide. And Sullivan goes, I don't want to get into words. Particular words don't matter. It's just really bad. And, you're watching it and you're going, dude, you sound wishy-washy. You sound like a wet noodle. I don't want to get into words. Well, I don't want to get into words means you're afraid of calling it a genocide. Let's face it, right? So I'm glad Biden did it today. I think there's a 50-50 chance that somebody tomorrow is going to back away. Well, Biden was talking generally about genocide being bad. I mean, you're going to run that chance with these guys. But I'm glad he did it. Yes. And it's about time. But, they just, I don't know. They're not exuding strength the way I wish they would, though he has done a great job pulling this coalition together, and he's not getting nearly enough credit for that, I think. Let me just make sure. Nothing else down here. Oh, there's another question. Oh, well, there's Alexander's. Exactly. Oh, I missed one. From Cat G. Sorry. Cat G, is there any mechanism in place to get back the children and refugees who have been taken to Russia? Oh, I answered that one. Yeah. I either answered hers or I answered somebody else with the exact same question. And I said there's no mechanism because if Russia just wants to take them, Russia's taken them. And we have to find out who the kids are. Right? Like, have the kids really been kidnapped? Who are they? We don't know. Katita, or maybe Katita. Thank you for the duck. We don't know. Second of all, even if we know Putin's got them, how do you get them back? You either do sanctions or war. And we're kind of doing both right now. So I'm not sure. I don't know what else there is if he just decides to be a jerk about it. It's scary. But also, I think we're going to have a very hard time finding out who these kids are. Here we go. Pam B, not a question. The 36th Regiment escaped their section of Mariupol and hooked up with the Azov Regiment in another part of Mariupol. That's what I was talking. Okay, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. Okay, so they didn't leave Mariupol entirely. They hooked up with Azov elsewhere. That's not bad though, because then maybe strength in numbers kind of thing. Okay. Thank you for that, Sergeant Kabuto. Thank you. If that's all you meant to do was give a super sticker. If you had a question, feel free to pose it, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, scrolling down. All right. Just wanted to answer my question. Exactly. Kate, because Kate, you're so nice, I figured I'd answer it twice. There was some old saying about that. Oh, remember that's from a song. What was the song with, St. Louis, the song about St. Louis. What was it, St. Louis? It's some state. What was it? No, New York. That's it. New York. It's the only city they named it twice because it's so nice or whatever the expression was, but something like that. Will Biden or Harris go to Kyiv like Boris Johnson did? I hope so. And it ought to be Biden. It shouldn't be Harris, meaning it should be the head of state. We've had head of states going. I mean, I'm sure it would be great for Harris to go, but Biden needs to go. He needs to go. Yeah, absolutely needs to go. Yeah, I saw that's a horrible story. Horrible story, Grimm's wife. That 25 women were found in a basement. I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't upset. There was a whole article in the Washington Post today about, my hair's exploding. I swear to God, I'm getting a haircut next week. That drag queen just like didn't cut my haircut and it's exploding. I'm getting a cut next week by my sister's lady she loves, and no more exploding hair. Yeah, there was a story in the Washington Post today. I believe it was the Post. A friend sent me about how people on TikTok and other social medias are having to use alternative words. And one of them was the word you put in your thing about what happened to those women in Ukraine when the Russians violated them. And one word they're using is SA for what the men did to them. But yeah, there were 25 women found in a basement. They were violated by the Russian soldiers, and now 9 of them are pregnant, apparently, is what I've read. And actually, it's funny you say that, not funny, but interesting you said that, because right before the show, I had a friend over, we were talking about this, and we Googled to see, and he said that, because I was like, do they have to have the babies? Like, what's that policy in Ukraine? And apparently that procedure, that medical procedure, is legal in Ukraine on request. And what we thought that meant was doctors probably can't like solicit it. They can't tell women, hey, would you like, here's an option you can do, but they're allowed to do it up to a certain number of weeks whatever. So that was kind of interesting. And I was very surprised. Zelensky, very moderate on these things. I just thought a country like Ukraine being so religious and everything else, there'd be no chance. But apparently there is. So yes, horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, that's okay. Sorry, be kind. That's okay. Let me grab another TikTok question because we haven't done enough of those tonight. Amanda, people have asked this before. Amanda Bear, meaning like it's been a couple weeks though, but Amanda Bear asks, I'll put this up to answer next, Lori. Amanda Bear asks, what would happen to Ukraine if Zelensky's killed? Zelensky is obviously an amazing wartime leader. He's holding the country together. He's clearly bucking up morale. He clearly is also, I would say, bucking up the world's morale in the sense that we all look at him and go, yeah, and it makes foreign leaders think, hey, this guy, no one thought Ukraine could win. This is the guy who could possibly do it, right? Which makes you, what's the expression in politics? Like nothing wins like success is the expression, some expression like that. But basically meaning when you start winning, everyone perceives you as a winner and then they want to join on your bandwagon. And frankly, if people are giving to campaigns, when they see a campaign with poll numbers going up, that's when they want to give to that campaign, because they're like, oh, that one. In America, we give money to campaigns. It's a whole bad situation. I know you in Europe are going, what do you mean give money to a campaign? But yes, we have a bad situation here. But the whole thing is that's what helps. And Zelensky has made himself and his country a winner. So if he were to be killed, it would be bad for morale there. It'd be bad worldwide. I think it would be interesting in terms of the foreign reaction, because what you might see is a major escalation by other countries in terms of the weapons they provide. That may go through the roof if Zelensky's killed. You will see morale hurt, but you're also going to see Ukrainians really ticked off if that happens. So you could have the opposite effect of turning Zelensky. Well, you would turn Zelensky into a martyr. There would be posters of him up all over the country and people would be livid. And it would be one more reason why people would fight harder. And frankly, the more people are angry and, ticked off, the harder they defend themselves. And it is, it's called a force I learned this word. I guess I'd heard it before, but never really used it. A force multiplier, meaning, it matters how strong you are, how many troops you have, how many weapons you have, how well trained you are. And then your morale, your motivation matters too. And the Russians don't have much of a morale. Some of them were being paid. The other ones thought they were joining the military for a year and they were just going to guard, buildings. And now they're fighting in a war where they're all getting killed. Their morale's through the floor. Whereas the Ukrainians, they're defending their own homeland. Your morale's always higher when you're defending your home because you're defending your family, your relatives, your country, the patriotism. And the fact that they've been winning also has bucked up Ukrainian morale. Because again, like for them, like it's like winning a race or winning a whatever. You do one really well, and then you're ready for the next one. So all of that matters. Now, Lori, does Ukraine have a chance if Mariupol falls? I mean, yes. The problem with Mariupol falling, southeast, Russia wants it so they can finally connect by land Crimea, which they stole in 2014, to the eastern part of Ukraine that they're trying to steal now. They want to connect this land bridge, and one big remaining chunk in the land bridge that's missing is Mariupol, a town on the coast. So that's the town that they've been blowing up for 6 weeks. Horrible, right? The civilian casualties, everything else. The big concern there is if Mariupol falls and the Russians finally take it, they can then take all the forces they have attacking Mariupol. So again, imagine Ukraine, it's kind of on the coast. They can then take those forces and move them up north, sort of northeast, to fight the big battle that's coming in the east overall. Because that battle is still, I don't know how many hundreds or 100 miles or whatever, but it's sort of up and to the right a little bit. It's a little bit northeast or maybe even northeast of where they are, where Mariupol is. They could move those troops in and help the other battle. And even worse, the Russians are coming down through Kharkiv and all of that, right? That's why that's why the Ukrainians bombed the train from up there. Russians are coming down. These guys are Mariupol. You've got the Ukrainians here fighting, while the Russians want to come down like this. And if they get Mariupol, they then take these forces up like this. They want to surround the Ukrainians they're fighting in the east. Now, will they be able to? Who knows? One of the things, again, the experts are saying is they haven't even done a good job surrounding Mariupol. Right? There's still supplies coming in, which is ridiculous. I mean, they should have been able to shut that down, and they didn't. So will they be able to surround the Ukrainian troops? Maybe. But, who knows? But yes, it's not good. I mean, they have a chance, yes, but it's not good because it helps the Russians because then they can use those troops to buck up their forces further north. Let me grab another question. Zelensky is strong and smart. I agree. No, he is, though. He's doing a great job, and he's a great figurehead as well. It's an interesting question, Henry. William Henry asks, Russian bombers have not shown up. Are they flight worthy? I mean, it's weird. It's weird. Everybody thought the Russians, I'm still on TikTok. Is TikTok frozen or anything? No. Yeah. Hopefully I'm still on TikTok. No one there is saying it's frozen. But yep, I should still be. It always takes like a minute to catch up, but they're going to hear me saying this, and pretty soon someone's going to go, "You're here, not frozen." Thank you. Okay, thanks, guys. Oops, I didn't mean to put my fundraiser up. Oh, the Russian bombers. Yeah, that was the big surprise coming in because everyone thought the Russians were going to come in, bomb the bejesus out of the place in a couple days, and then come to Kyiv with all their tanks and take over, and that would be the end of the war, right? And it's not what happened. And it's been very strange that the Russians have not had air superiority. The Ukrainians are apparently good at this. I don't quite get it. I don't get it. And they're not just saving their planes. This was a really big embarrassment what happened to them north of Kyiv. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. No, so I don't know. Now, you do run into the issue of it's possible they're not flying. Our F-16s, for example, I heard the other day, which are our top fighter jets. I did see the sorting hat. Thank you for that. Our F-16s I read or heard that only half of our fleet is flight worthy at any one time because they take so much upkeep. So you've got that problem as well going on. I'm sure with the Russians, are half their planes not able to fly just because you're always having to fix them? Once they flew, did some of them need parts? I don't know, but it's some big story needs to be written about what the heck happened to Russian air power, because you're right. They should have been able to take everything over. Thank you for that. Gus Galloway Photography, you just came in or you posted it right before I said it, because I just gave a whole long talk on that and said that either he becomes a martyr or it could help kill some of the morale in Ukraine. But I think it'll get the West to probably pump even more weapons in because our own citizens will be ticked off. And the Ukrainians, it'll hurt their morale, but he'll also become an instant martyr. I think you'll see posters of him just like, I'm going to keep doing my sci-fi references, just like the blonde daughter in Fringe when they killed her and then her face popped up everywhere. But that's what happens. You end up martyring somebody. That's when a martyr is real in that case. I don't do anything but sci-fi references pretty much. I'm convinced. And food. and foreign travel. But beyond that, you get outside of my knowledge. Mundashi, thank you. If you had a question, feel free to write it down there, but thank you. Let me pull up another question on TikTok. And once again, folks, I'm John Aravosis. Hello, in Washington, D.C. We did the first part of the show was where I update you on the news, and now we're just doing Q&A from you on TikTok. Feel free to enter it in the Q&A box, I guess it's called, maybe. And I try to get to them. And on TikTok, on YouTube, you've got your own little boxes there. Where is this? Nope, the peace talks are dead for now. I don't know anything about gas and Biden today. Boris Johnson did a good job. Sorry, but Horses, I guess I'll say it that way, asked how Boris Johnson did and with his trip. And I think Boris Johnson did a good job. He's been very strong on this. Obviously, Johnson has lots of problems, which might be part of the reason he's being very strong to buck things up. But he's been great on Ukraine. He's actually been pushing Europe to be tougher, which is good. He went there, which was very brave and amazing right there, and great PR for him, but also great PR for Ukraine. But what he also did was he came with a weapons package, and with a very good weapons pack. I forget now even what it was, but a day or so ago we reported on this, but it seemed to be a very good weapons package of stuff he was sending. All of that's great. So, I think it was smart of him to go. It was politically savvy of him to go, and he's been very strong. So I like it. Okay, Gus, I'll get to that in a second. Mundashi. Why don't other countries attack Russia while they're weak, such as Japan with the islands or other neighboring countries? It's a good question. My suspicion is, first of all, the U.S. has probably told its allies not to do it. So it's probably told Finland, if you've been itching for a little bit of Russia, don't do it. We've probably told Japan the same thing, because Japan was making noise about the Kuril Islands that it's having this dispute with Russia over. If truly we are worried that a larger battle with Russia and other countries could lead to nuclear and everything else, then my guess is we would have told other countries don't get involved. Because for whatever reason, Biden is worried about this getting bigger, out of control. Putin feels cornered, blah, blah, blah. Having said that, if you were the leader of another country that had some dispute with Russia and wanted some land, now is the time to do it, yes. Because Russia's preoccupied. Russia's already under sanctions, so it's very hard for them to keep their war going. They can't get the spare parts. And they've already moved their best military to the southwest, to Ukraine, or even west, I guess, not even southwest, the west, and they were obliterated. Russia can't afford to have another war somewhere else right now. So, yeah, if you were in another part of the country, might be smart. Now, the risk might be that because Russia can't afford it militarily, would Russia be willing to do things such as therefore use biological, chemical, nuclear, et cetera, in that other war because it can't afford to move troops there. So you still have that risk, that risk. War, that's one of the things actually early on I was seeing, which was interesting, that one of the generals had said on CNN, and he was talking about how well Ukraine did, and he said, I think it was General Zweck, but he said something about war being unpredictable. But his point was, you can game everything out and know the troops and everything and how good everybody is and everything, but there's some, quality that you just can't tell with war, and it's not always clear how it's going to go, even when you're sure it's going to go a certain way. And he said this was a perfect example. It was pretty clear it was going to go a certain way. Ukraine was going to lose, and they didn't. So that's the risk too. Is does Japan or somebody else want to start a war, assuming it can win, and then something horrible happens? Who knows? Gus, Gus Calloway asks, what are the reports of a doctor following Putin around? That was a report a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how credible it was or not, because it didn't seem to be picked up by a lot of other countries or a lot of other papers and stuff. But the report was that Putin, for the last 5 years, has had something like 36 visits from straighten out my little camera for TikTok, has had a visit from a thyroid oncologist. So basically a doctor who specializes in thyroid cancer. And the guy's visited him 36 times in 5 years, which is crazy. 6 times a year, every month and a half, I guess every 2 months or so. So that's the story. I've got friends here in town who think Putin's medical problems are that he's an alcoholic, literally, and that he's doing large amounts of steroids. And they think the steroids could be because he had COVID, or they think I don't remember whether he officially did or not, but you'll remember before the war, somebody's got to pull up this video. Before the war, Putin is interviewed, and I remember watching him, not interviewed, he's got some other visitor or something, maybe it was Macron, I don't know who, and they're talking, and Putin keeps coughing, and he's like, and there's something wrong with him, and you're going, what the hell? And of course, we're all thinking COVID. Well, if he has something wrong with his lungs, whether because of COVID or something else, steroids is one way to clear it up and at least mask whatever problems there, because the steroids certainly open up your lungs, but they're very dangerous long term. This is yeah, Lori, I assume you're talking about Boris Johnson, not me. Just kidding. This is one of the thoughts is if he's an alcoholic and he's abusing steroids now, but meaning the medical steroids, not the get pumped up steroids, that it can mess up your thinking. It can cause you swollen face, mess up your thinking, make you more antagonistic, more paranoid, all sorts of things. So, who knows about his health? I mean, it's sort of like the old Soviet days where we had to sort of guess what people's health was, Tribal Flute, thank you for that. Chelsea Gregory, thank you for that. As always, just because I've noticed sometimes people put up the super stickers, which is basically just giving me a gift, which I appreciate. But sometimes they meant to put up a question and didn't. So if you meant to and didn't, feel free to post it. And my diligent moderators will remind me. Oh, thank you. Okay. I'm going to post this just because that was sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you. Catty just gave me a compliment, which was nice. I'm not going to repeat it because I'm being shy, but it's the YouTubers can see it. All right, TikTok, let me go to your questions again. All right. Hang on here. Thank you for the hat. I just saw that. Got a lot of questions. She's got a lot of questions. I don't know how long Zelensky's term is as president, though I'm sure somebody could Google that while we're talking. I see the hat again. Thank you. Boy, that's a question for them. I mean, why didn't Finland and Sweden join NATO before now? Well, okay, couple things. First of all, I mean, I wonder before whether NATO had some, for example, Finland, whether NATO had some of the same fears with Finland that they did with Ukraine. With Ukraine, NATO especially Merkel and Sarkozy, but NATO has been dragging Ukraine along because we don't want to get Putin angry, this kind of thing, right? So I wonder whether with Finland they didn't have that same fear. If I'm freezing, yeah. If that same kind of fear going on, that like, oh my God, they've gone after Finland before. I don't know. I get the sense from talking to people that people think maybe Finland becoming a member is more likely than Sweden. I know the polls are very good, I believe. In Finland right now, people are obviously not very happy with the war. The Swedes, and talking to a friend who knows Sweden well, his sense was, the Swedes have always been, the Swedes are Western, they're European, they're, on our side-ish, but they also have kind of a history of, they have a history of like World War II. They were trying to stay independent, even though I'm sure they were kind of on our side. But, let's see if they join. I think they should. I think both should. I think it would be good for both of them. Certainly in today's world, this is getting dangerous again with Russia. So it'd probably be a really smart thing for them to do. And especially if Finland were to join, then I think that really leaves It leaves Sweden in a weird spot, because then it's only Sweden, only 2 terms for Z. Okay. Only 2 terms allowed. But that kind of gets scary for Sweden, I think, if Finland joins and then Sweden's on its own. Because honestly, if I were Swedish, I'd be looking at this crap right now, and it's everybody's worst fear, which is, guess what? NATO isn't going to come defend you if you're not part of NATO. And even if you're part of NATO, I've got some fears, but they're clearly not going to defend you if you're not part of NATO. So we know that. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Again, somebody looking maybe Ukrainian said, yeah, one term for the president. Ukraine is 5 years. Then they can run for a second 5-year term. Okay. Solomia. So that sounds like Greek. I speak Greek. Solomia would be how you'd say it in Greek, probably. Solomia Chernigivska. Interesting. Solomia. It's like Salome. And again, because your first name is interesting, I'm going to guess you're Ukrainian. Because I feel like whenever I see Cyrillic names, I said this last night because we had Pavlo on, one of the guests, one of the people watching us who ended up being from Ukraine. But I said, I think of the Russian name Pavel, but because it's Pavlo, it's got to be Ukrainian because it's different. It seems like I know Solomia. It is Ukrainian. Interesting. Somebody said it's Ukrainian. Okay, yeah. You got the most interesting first names. They're not quite Russian. They're like, because we know the Russian names here in America, a lot of them, and the Ukrainian ones like always end up being like Zelensky instead of being Vladimir Volodymyr with OLO. Again, not something we're familiar with. So kind of interesting. Anyway. And I actually started doing my Duolingo last night. I did start trying to learn Ukrainian for fun. I had a year of Russian. Tuck. You're welcome. But I don't know. I finally decided because I took a year of Russian and I do have some there. I was starting Duolingo and I did the part. It's a great app, by the way. If you're ever trying to learn foreign languages, it's free. It is an amazing app. Wonderful app for foreign, because I use it to even keep up on some of the languages I already speak. It's a wonderful app. I highly recommend. Again, it's free. But what I did was, because I had a year of Russian, I was considering trying to go back and try my Russian. But then I was like, I kind of feel like I want to learn Ukrainian because it'd be fun to know a little Ukrainian if I went there. But it's hard because the language is so different. But ironically, on Duolingo, I know a little bit Ukrainian because I knew Russian, and I've been doing okay for like basic understanding, but the words are different, which drives me nuts. I don't even remember one of them. Even saying what my name is. Like I know U меня zовут Vanya or whatever. And in Ukrainian, it's like Yak, oh God, Yak, it was not Zavut. It's like Zavtu or Zavti. Anyway, it's very, yeah. Anyway, that was my Duolingo story because I've been fretting for a couple of days now whether to try to learn Russian, whether to try to learn Ukrainian again. I mean, Russian could be useful, but I almost feel guilty learning Russian because of everything going on, And it would be kind of funny if I ever have to speak to a Russian and some Ukrainian pops up. Wouldn't that be funny? It would serve them right. All right. The owl on Duolingo is very pushy. No, it's really wonderful. I love it. I love that app. Free app for learning languages. Absolutely fabulous. Let me grab another question on TikTok. Feels like it's a slow night for folks. I don't know. Maybe it's the nice weather. Hard to say. Although Tuesdays, I think Tuesdays are always a little slow for us. Monday ends up being kind of a big one. Tuesday's a little slow. And then it kind of picks up again as the week goes on. And the weekends, of course, the weekends are what the weekends are. Especially as the weather gets nicer. We shall see. U.S. Navy conducting training to the Russian borders. That, I think, is what somebody just mentioned about we're doing some stuff with Finland in that area, I believe. Exactly. Whoosh. Yeah, that's scary. Donna says, if Macron were to lose in France, what's the effect on Russia? They have a runoff election, right? Macron and crazy Le Pen, far right, but they're like far right, lunatic, fringe. It's scary. It's scary. Yeah, because she's like a BFF of Putin, and now she's trying to be a little bit better, but I'm told she supported the invasion of Crimea. She likes Putin. I mean, she's nuts. And he owns her anyway. He paid off. He gave her money. He gave her party money like 5 years ago or something, and they're still paying it off. I mean, imagine taking money from Putin. It's just like disgusting in politics. It's absolutely disgusting. So, no, she would try to get us out of NATO. She would do a lot of things. The question is whether she could do it or whether, it would take the parliament and whether the parliament would put up with it. I don't know, But no, she would be very scary. That could be trouble. I agree. What else? We got any more questions on here? Oh, here's one from Sky Queen. Let's see what she says on YouTube. What will happen to the Russians that fled from Russia and are now staying in other countries because they don't like what is going on in their country? Will they be seen as traitors? Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the only thing is they may want to. Well, it depends. It depends. I mean, if Putin stays there, they'll be seen as traitors. Yeah. If a new government comes in, you never know. If Putin gets overthrown, the new government could be fine. The new government could come in and say, you know what? Putin screwed up. He started a war that he shouldn't have done, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. Also, the problem is some of them won't want to go back. Others will. I mean, all the independent media had to leave. They were shut down and they had to leave or they risk going to jail. They're going to probably want to go back because they're independent media. I mean, that's the whole point of their existence, right? Is it's almost like being a civil rights activist. It is. It's like being Navalny, the opposition leader who Putin tried to kill multiple times. He went back because he believes in fighting for his country. I would imagine independent media types would not want to stay away. I don't know if it's hard to say traitors because it's not like they fled the draft, right? At first I said yes, but it's not like they fled the draft. They fled because they were afraid the government was going to arrest them. So, I mean, like, for example, the guys doing the independent media, people already know you run the independent media. So if they're big patriots, they don't like you anyway. So now that I think about it, maybe it's not as bad because it wasn't like you were a draft dodger, which, to patriots would seem to be a bad thing. I don't know, just my thought. Let me scroll down. Okay, nothing new there. TikTok question. And we'll do maybe another 5 minutes or so of questions. There's more anonymous. Vandayum. Have you heard any new developments with Anonymous? Yeah, they released some data today, but one that I saw, I didn't really do a video because it seemed kind of arcane. It was like 250,000 files, but it was with a Department of Education, but it looked like it was of a region or something. So I was kind of like, it didn't feel big enough. They may have had, I don't know if they had anything else coming out today. I don't know. But it just didn't seem big enough. Will Russia even be a country in 15 years? I don't know well enough whether well, here's the thing. I was looking at a map the other day, actually, on this topic, and it was a map of Russia. Mind you, and I was telling my friend Damien today, remember, Russia is 11 time zones. It is a huge country, 11. It's crazy how big this country is. But interestingly, if you look at all the regions, or the oblasts or whatever they're called, there is a Russian majority in most of Russia. That it's a Russian ethnic majority. And it showed the map. There was like in the middle, there was kind of a clump here. There was a little, maybe it was by Georgia or somewhere, not Georgia, by, what am I thinking of? Chechnya or whatever, like that kind of stuff, right? But otherwise, most of the country was Russian ethnic majority, which means how does it break away? Unless you have a civil war that's really effective, So I don't know. I don't know how you manage a country that big. It just seems, China's huge too, but it's a small population. I want to say 150 million or something spread over 11 time zones. Geez, that's crazy. But I don't know if anyone's talking about it breaking up any further. Obviously the Soviet Union was ripe to break up, Boom. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm going to scroll down further. It's funny. The TikTokers just you boys and girls go crazy with your questions. It's great, but oh my God, no updates from Bucha. Just, all the horror stories in general from everybody, but no updates really. The actual casualties, who knows? Good question. Probably a human asks, what are the actual casualties for Russia and Ukraine? Ukraine's not telling us. We aren't going to estimate because it would be poor form. Right? As allies, it would be rude of us to say, well, we think actually they lost 30,000 people because then we're helping Russia get its figures. So we wouldn't do that. I'm sure we've got our own estimates. Obviously you can't trust what Ukraine says publicly in the same way that you can't trust Russia. Nobody's dumb enough to say how many people they've really lost because all you do is risk dispiriting people at home, so that's not good. But we do know that the U.S. had estimated weeks ago that Russia lost between 7,500 and 15,000 men already. Killed. Who knows now? I can't imagine it's much better. It probably is slowed. It slowed down a little bit, since they had pulled out and they're kind of regrouping. But I don't know. It's going to be high on both sides. What's really going to be scary is this next battle because it's going to be huge. It's going to be hundreds of tanks. It's going to be a lot of it's an open farmland, which they're saying is going to be like World War II. It's going to be a big, bloody, scary battle like World War II with lots of death. So that's going to be awful. That's going to be absolutely awful for everybody, which is bad. So, yikes. You're funny you said this, Lori. How is Vlad? I was talking to my nephew who works with Vlad, and I said, oh, they love Vlad. I said, well, they asked for updates on what he's doing with the money that we've raised and stuff. But I said, but they also sometimes just ask, how is Vlad? I have to tell him because literally I told my nephew that earlier today. He laughed. He likes that you guys like Vlad. Vlad is Ukrainian who works with my nephew, but has been helping us with our various fundraisers we've been doing. Some of the money you guys have sent to him directly. Some you've sent to me, like to buy the medical kits. But Vlad helped us initially. We raised $30,000, $20,000 directly to Vlad, $10,000 to me that I then immediately sent to him. I didn't take any of it. And going for mostly food aid, but humanitarian aid overall. So a lot of it is going for these Meals on Wheels programs in the cities. Vlad used some of it, like $1,000 of it, just to buy food and shipped it by postal service across the country because they were needing food in one of the towns. Debbie, thank you for that. He actually gave me a list today. I'll have to update you, but the 30,000 is spent now. It's spent. All the different food, a lot of it went to the food kitchens. Some of it went for clothes and medical supplies. Most of it was the food kitchens, and a number of it also went to people in need. We helped this one woman and her kid escape from Kharkiv, who had the one with the 8-year-old boy who was sleeping on, who she did the video thanking us in what she thought was broken English, but it's absolutely adorable. And she had her little son sleeping like behind her, and you could see his head totally asleep. And she said it was the first time he slept on a mattress, meaning since the war started. So basically they'd spent 3 weeks downstairs in the subway. And it was the first time her son had a bed because you guys helped get him out of town, which is really neat. So anyway, as I said, we're going to do another fundraiser. I already put it up as a soft launch, but I've got to do a video for it tomorrow. We're going to raise money to get 2 used cars that will be used to transport a ton of food from the west to Kharkiv. And then once the cars get to Kharkiv, they will be used by the food. In the States, we call it Meals on Wheels, but basically there are a number of groups that are getting food and making it. Well, actually, he told me the way they're making the food now is the groups are getting the food, buying it, having it shipped, etc. And then they've got restaurants who have volunteered across town, and the restaurants are making the food. So the food groups get the food to the restaurants make it. And I said, are the restaurants getting paid? He said, no. And I said, honestly, to some degree, it's just like with COVID, the restaurants probably could use some help too with the businesses. Nonetheless, how wonderful. The restaurants aren't taking a dime. They're making the food. And then the organizations go and make individual packets of the food, like grocery bags of food. And they're individual plastic servings of the meals. I mean, it's wonderful. And they go and they deliver it across town to people. And they're doing, thousands of these. Oh God. Some of them are doing, I think, thousands a day. It's crazy because it's a town of 1.5 million people. So anyway, yeah. So we're going to help get 2 vehicles to transport it because there's no way to transport it now. And you can't trust, it's actually very risky because you can't really trust the trains anymore because they're bombing trains. And frankly, the cars even, it's risky, but some people want to do it. So if they want to do it, they're Ukrainian, that's their call. But in any case, so that's what we're doing next. So I'm going to try to raise $8,000 for that. I've already put the thing up on if you go to my Beacons link in my profile on TikTok, you'll see the very first thing is for that. Don't be afraid that it's PayPal. You can just use a credit card, and I will know because the way it receives on my end, it's marked specially, so I will know that's the money that goes to Vlad. And also, most of the money is coming in anyways is for Vlad anyway, so it's not hard to keep track. And yeah, for you guys, I think Be Kind had put up the link for you guys, so thank you for that. Oh, nice. Oh, did you, Bev? Let me see this here. So Bev says, is that 20 or 2? 2,000 Canadian, and I never know what that means in US, but my guess is it's around the same maybe. For local families that are coming here. Oh, local Ukrainian families that are coming to Canada. That's interesting. And the other half is for the army in Ukraine. That's a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea. What is the best link to send to them? Well, what do you mean? The families? Well, we don't want the families to pitch in because they're refugees. What do you mean? I guess I'm not sure what you mean. Explain your question a little bit. I don't want to make the families chip in. They need their money. A T-shirt is interesting. I mean, Tommy, the T-shirt's an interesting idea. The only thing is, I just don't know whether it adds a level of difficulty because part of the problem with T-shirts is usually you've got to like raise the money first and then like for a week, and then you get one lump sum and then spend it kind of thing. To date, with the car will be a little different because we do need the money for the cars all at once to get the cars. It's not like I can send $1,000 a day, right? With all the money for the humanitarian stuff till now, I've been taking the money every day and sending it, whether it's to Vlad or the 10,500 or so we raised for medical kits. Every day I would take however much came in, I would wire it to my account, and then I would go on Amazon, buy it, and ship it to the Ukrainian charity in New York that then was shipping everything to Ukraine. So they were doing it nonstop shipping and doing it for free, so to speak. So basically, we didn't have to pay for it, so I could buy more stuff. But it was way easier and way quicker. I worry about T-shirts just becoming a pain. And frankly, it's more money too. I mean, I worry like if somebody gives $25 for a T-shirt, do we get $8 of it? Like the whole thing just becomes more cumbersome. I worry about that a little bit. And at this point, maybe we could get more with t-shirts and stuff, but we've already raised $40,000, which is pretty cool. So it's been working, it's been working. I mean, I don't like the money coming to me exactly, but whatever. I am, as my friends had sort of told me, keep very good accounting. So I do have very good accounting to be able to show 100% of the money in is going out. So that's good at least. But although I do have $1.07 left to spend on the medical kit money. So I'm going to donate that to, since it was for humanitarian anyway, I'm going to donate it to our next humanitarian effort, but it was only $1. I did very good job of getting just the right amount there. All right, it's 8:20, guys. If there's nothing else left here, I'm going to hang now, but we are going to be done with our substance. Are people still baiting people? Oh, yeah. You mean the bad people? Bad people, Sky Queen? Is that what you mean? Yeah. So anyway, just so folks know, and the TikTokers feel free to hang out. I talk for about an hour, 15, hour, 20. I mean, give the news summary and then answer your questions. And then we take a break because it's been about an hour and 20 minutes and hang out another 10 or 20 minutes, just us hanging out, talking about anything that isn't politics. And it's actually been quite fun. And like I said, the TikTokers have been enjoying it. We usually have about 1,000 of you guys who hang out, the folks on YouTube as well. So now I'll still talk about the charity stuff if you want, but otherwise we're not going to do more substance. Yeah, I mean, the problem on TikTok is you've got to be very careful of scammers. And I know like my crypto buddies forget their feeds. Their feeds are all people scamming to come on WhatsApp and, I'll give you free advice if you contact me here. And it's crazy stuff. I mean, the first time I saw it when I was new on TikTok, I didn't fall for it like I did it, but I actually thought, wow, you're posting your phone number on TikTok for people? That's kind of wild. Like I thought it was real. And then I finally realized this is too weird. Which is the reason, by the way, that I don't allow my videos to be downloaded on TikTok because people keep asking that. And they keep saying, why don't I let my videos be downloaded? Because maybe 6 months ago, the scammers set up a bunch of scam accounts about me on my last name. And I think I had allowed the videos to be downloaded before that. And I immediately locked them because I was afraid they would create scam accounts. Because what they do is then they grab your videos and they upload them so people think it's real. I had one of the crypto guys I know, it had, oh my God, at least 50,000, but I want to say a couple 100,000 people had joined the scam account thinking it was him. He was pissed. And TikTok wasn't getting rid of it. It was bad I think they finally got rid of it. And actually, TikTok finally verified him, which is good. So that was good and actually that would be another example, at least if it was verified. But the problem is, what if somebody doesn't see the verified and they see the fake account? They're going to see your picture. They're going to see the videos. They're going to assume it's real. And God forbid there's a fundraiser, right? So no, it's any case. Yeah, I don't trust it for that. So that's why so far my videos are not public. Not downloadable because anybody else's site you go to, they have no videos. So that's the idea. So it'll be at least painfully obvious, I hope. Ooh, I'm getting warm now. The house was going back and forth, warm and cold with the warm today and the weather. Ooh, tired. I do need to get to bed earlier tonight. I've been getting tired. I could tell this happened during COVID too. Like I was getting bags under my eyes. And no, like I was telling my doctor, he was like, I'm getting like bags under my eyes. He said, no, you're not. I said, trust me, but it's happening. One of you said the other day, I need more sleep, but you're right. I mean, I could feel it. But I think it's like I stay up too late and then I wake up in the morning and like what's even bad is waking up a little early. And then you're like, oh, I want to check YouTube, TikTok or not TikTok. I want to check the news and see what's going on in Ukraine. And you just get like sucked into the news and you're awake. Daily Sasha update. She is fine. Oh, you're okay. Hi, you. It's okay. As soon as I said her name, she's under the blanket in her bed. And as soon as I said the name, the blanket kind of went like this, but she didn't come out. It was like the force moved the blanket. So she's fine. She's just kind of hanging in her bed. Well, remember at the beginning of the show, she was hanging in the corner. She wanted me to play with her and give her a treat, like right when we started, which was not going to happen. Also, she doesn't get one at that time. So it's not a good thing that she was, she's been begging a lot. And I also feel like bad, she's able to guilt me into stuff, which is not good. But, anyway, what else is going on, guys? I am tired. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. What else? Well, I'm only saying no because she's asleep in her bed, and I feel bad like getting her up. I don't like dragging her out of bed. When she moves around, I show you guys. I show you her. Vlad is fine. He's 6 hours or 7 hours ahead, so they're sleeping now, but he's good. I talked to him today. He's doing very well. It was funny, actually. One time I was talking to Vlad, and it was totally cool because he's in his car and he's got the phone on the dashboard thing, so it's nice and safe. So he's driving, the phone's on the dashboard. And as he's driving, he must have driven by a Ukrainian Orthodox church, and you saw those really cool gold domes. It was the funniest thing because he must have been stopping at a light. He stops at a light, and I'm looking at him going, that is so cool. But it was really neat. It was really neat. So I thought it was neat. It was kind of fun, like when you look at another country and you're literally seeing, something that's just typical of that country, so that they're there. It's because otherwise it looks like this. It didn't look like he was anywhere until I saw that. That was pretty cool. So, anyway, my favorite Greek food. I got a couple because I love pasticcio, but most people don't know it. It's I would say hard to make well because it could end up just tasting like dry pasta, but it's a very good dish, bechamel sauce, tomato, always one of my favorites. The other is I really like moussaka. Moussaka I never liked when I was a kid because I hated eggplant, vegetables. Then discovered like good moussaka. It's not easy to make, and even I have a hard time because just like with like ratatouille sometimes is this really interesting red sauce, and sometimes it's stewed vegetables. You know what I mean? And I find eggplant does the same thing. Sometimes eggplant it turns into this entirely other dish in the oven, and sometimes it's boiled eggplant and tomato sauce. So moussaka can turn out that way. So it's clearly how you prepare the eggplant, but I mean, you prepare it the right way, but it doesn't always work. But I do love moussaka, and it's very easy to make. Excuse me. It's not so easy to make. That's not true. Moussaka's a pain. I mean, it's easy, but it's a pain. And pasticcio is a pain too, actually, now that I think about it. What's the one that I make that's easier? No, moussaka is a total pain. Just because doing the eggplant alone is just the pain in the butt part, the eggplant. Otherwise, the meat's easy. Everything else is easy. I can't remember what else I make that's easy. I mean, baklava is super easy. I don't love baklava. Is okay. I like American desserts. So I like chocolatey, gooey stuff. But baklava is easy to make, at least, so you can fool people into thinking you made something fancy. But moussaka's not that hard, I guess. Yeah. But again, I'm picky, so sometimes I worry about making it because I don't, if it doesn't turn out really well. I think either Martha Stewart or Julia Child, one or both of them said, "Oh, Lori, that's right. I forgot you had COVID." One of them had said something like, "If the dish doesn't turn out, don't tell people." Most of them don't even know what it's supposed to taste like anyway. Basically, it's just like, if it's passable, if it's edible, serve it. So, that's also part of what you have to do, is just kind of serve your food. And as long as it's edible, don't worry that it doesn't taste exactly like what you're familiar with. I know recipe book would be fun. I mean, I was thinking that like someday do a mom recipe book, of mom's recipes, which are also, I mean, all the recipes are like collected by the Greek ladies over the years and the generations. And like I was telling you, I've got this great Greek book from the local church, and mom, hold on a second. I'm even going to pull up the recipe book, because if I can open it to one, some of the recipes are hilarious because mom has edited them. But the recipe, it's almost like it's like stone soup. There's like nothing left in the recipe. But yes, this is one of the good ones. So this book, I've got to see. This copy is from 1978. And this is the Greek churches make cookbooks. And it's always, it's always the ladies. Maybe now it's finally branching out, but it's always been the ladies till now. But this is from St. Peter and Paul, the Chicago suburbs, north suburbs of Chicago. Not my church, but it was always renowned to have the best, at least in the 70s, to have the best cookbook. It says Kali Orexi on top, which is sort of Bon Appetit. Not sort of, it is Bon Appetit. Yeah, Bon Appetit. But the funny thing is, and I want to look for like a recipe mom has doctored up because it's hilarious. Is that several of them are just kind of like, okay, Ma, why do you even have the recipe in here? But I've got to see. Yeah, there's galato burrito is quite good too, actually. Like a good galato burrito is wonderful. The spanakopita. Yeah, the spanakopita is totally different. I'm trying to find, I don't know if I'm going to find one of the recipes that she totally went to town on that made me laugh. Pasticcio. Well, no, the pasticcio recipe I've got somewhere else anyway. Because now I'm not going to find them probably. That's all right. If I don't, I don't. But basically we've got like I said, like the recipes in here that have then been doctored to death. This is funny. These recipes have so been doctored. I'm not going to find it's okay. I'm not going to find a single one that's been doctored now. This is funny. Oh, well. Oh, well. It was a nice idea to tell you so. That's okay. Yeah. No, I'm not finding a single doctor recipe. It's okay. In any case, but it's very funny. Yeah, the recipes are very, I actually have a Dropbox full of them, which is nice because I think I told you guys, I get that way when I travel. Well, here in DC, I've always got them. Not this entire book, but like the best recipes from this book. And of course, their mom's version anyway, and we've got there. It's great because then you can, you've always got them with you. I mean, I'm laughing because these recipes have been so doctored and I'm not finding any of the doctored ones. Oh, well, all right, whatever. I give up. But anyway, yeah, you could almost go to any Greek church and get a wonderful Greek cookbook. The problem is everyone makes the recipes different. So you do run into that problem too. Because like, I like my mom's food, but paksimavi, oh my God, those are really good. They're like butter cookies. Oh, I mean, you could call them, they're not biscotti. They're much better than biscotti, I think. They're not biscotti, but oh my God. Loukoumades, Greek donuts. Oh, they're Greek donut holes, but it's yeast and rises, and then you drench it in honey and cinnamon. Oh my God. That's a great one. But the paksimavi are funny because they're used. I'm not finding any of them now. That's right. The paksimavi are used for funerals. You make them for the meal because, with a funeral, you have an event, a lunch at the restaurant afterwards, and you invite everybody from church to come. It can be big, depending. Like my mom's generation, it would be big. Could be 100 people or whatever. And again, the women, now it's changed, but the women would make paksimavia, which are these biscotti. I mean, they are biscotti because they're cooked twice. They're just crunchy up. Softer, crunchier. They're crunchy, but biscotti I find too hard sometimes. These are not. These are brittle and they crumble in your mouth. And they're twice cooked, so they become a wonderful brown. Because you can imagine like a chocolate chip cookie that's cooked at a low heat for an hour. I knew somebody used to make them like that. So everything caramelizes. Oh, these cookies are my favorite. But usually you make them for the meal after somebody dies, after the funeral. And I'm like, we should make them more often. I love these things. But what do you do? So I do have to make that. I just want to make them here because they're basically almost like a butter cookie. Fabulous though. I don't enable captions on TikTok because they're so freaking wrong. I finally gave up. I have tried like 3 different times to enable the captions on TikTok. And each time I felt bad and did it because people were asking. And the last time, the crazy captions on TikTok, I was talking about Russia invading Ukraine and it translated it to Russia invaded Korea. And then people in the comments were like, oh my God, Russia invaded Korea. And I was like, no, Russia did not invade Korea. And that's when I pulled the plug. They're so bad. And it's just too hard with every video because I don't often do 20-second videos. My videos are longer. And for a longer video, it's just too freaking hard to do. It just is. It's just one more thing to do. And I'm already like all day long trying to do these. I mean, at this point, I'm doing this full time. It's too hard. So I can put them back on again, but they're just bad. The captions are bad. Google Translate's pretty darn good. Google Translate I find pretty darn good. Spanish and French, it's been excellent with. I find even translating Russian. I mean, my Russian's very rudimentary, but it'll translate Russian into English, and the articles usually are more than comprehensible, which blows my mind. I don't work out. I should work out, and I don't. But it blows my mind that the articles are comprehensible with Google Translate from Russian or Ukrainian. Which is pretty cool. Oh my, COVID's got you delirious. You should go to bed, Lori, if you're not feeling well. Oh, that's okay. Be Kind is leaving. Thank you for helping out. We're only going to stay a couple more minutes. I'm getting tired too. Oh man. No, I'm glad you guys could be here. Thank you. Thank you for thanking me. Like I said, I feel like it's a slow night though. Even this, even on TikTok, you're down to 700. Usually we have 1,000 this time of night. YouTube was okay today. A little slow too. Not the worst, but I can tell when I think the warm weather probably gets people out or whatever. It is true. Like I probably do these things better in the winter. But all right, see you, catty. Oh man. Oh, my. All right, guys. Oh, well, I'm going to get going, I think. I will hang on for another minute so that the TikTok people catch up, because that seems to take half a minute or a minute for you guys to. I have been told that when I sign off, it signs off on the TikTok people immediately. But since they're half a minute behind, it just sounds like I'm hanging up mid-sentence. So consider this my goodbye. And you can keep saying goodbyes, but at some point, I'm going to cut it off. Well, I'm not going to go to sleep right now. It's only 8:30. I'm going to go watch some TV, but I just have to. I have to cut myself off. And actually, I do better in Chicago, because in Chicago, at 10 o'clock, things just kind of die down. At 10 o'clock is the end of prime time. And it is true. Like 10 o'clock, I'm usually like, you know what? I'm going upstairs. I read my phone a little bit and get to bed by 11. Here, it's harder, because here I find I'm almost up to 11, because I got used to that East Coast thing where prime time is 8. Prime time meaning the top television hour in the evening is from 8 to 11. In Chicago, it's from 7 to 10. And it makes all the difference. Because at 10 o'clock, like, I don't watch the local news. So by 10 o'clock, I'm like, all right. Then again, who watches live TV? I don't watch live TV anymore. I'm going to go with the originals. I've only got a couple episodes of originals left. I'm very upset. It's a little dark. It's gotten a little dark, but killing people off, which has been surprising me. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I was glad the one character, very smart of them to kill him off and then to have it be kind of a happy ending, I thought was brilliant, because I've never quite seen a show do that. Like, yes, tomorrow night we're going to do 7 o'clock again, 7 p.m. Eastern, Washington, D.C. time. So yes, I was forgetting to mention that, though. Always right when I'm done with this, excuse me, I create the new one. So I'll hang up, I'll create it on TikTok, and then I'll go and create it on YouTube. So almost immediately on YouTube, you'll just see it on my homepage. On TikTok, just so you know, you will see it on the profile page. Once I set it up, like in 15 minutes, when you go to the profile, if you look down in my profile, like below the link, you're going to see something, not right now, but it says live, tomorrow, 7 p.m. And you can click it and it lets you click the remind me button or whatever it is. But that's a way on anybody's profile on TikTok, at least, that you can look and see whether they've got a live coming up, because it's announced there. So it's kind of a nice feature just to let the regulars, thank you, just to let the regulars know that you got something coming up. So now that I said that, I've got to give it another minute so that catches up on TikTok, and then I will say goodbye. Ooh, I'm tired, guys. All right, you know what? I'm going to hang up on YouTube first. Good night, guys. And then TikTok once I'm sure that message got through. All right? I know you're yawning too. Worse for you than me. But all right, bye, YouTube. TikTok, about to kick you guys out.